What we want to talk about next is trust, because people can develop trust very quickly. You don't need years before you trust somebody. Why is trust important in your business? Yeah, because just like Hugh was saying, people buy people first. Well, absolutely, they buy people first that they trust. The quicker they trust you, the quicker they're going to sign on the dotted line. So what David Maister did was he looked at surgeons and lawyers, barristers, financial advisors. He observed them in their workplace and then interviewed their patients or clients to try and establish what constituted trust. And what he found was that to have high trust, you need to have high credibility, high reliability, and high intimacy. And I'm going to explain this intimacy. And you need to have low self-orientation. What this intimacy is showing yourself as being a true human being. Now, let me tell you a story. Our daughter, when she was about 16 months old, she started walking, and we realized there was something not quite right. So we had to go and take her to an orthopedic pediatric surgeon. Or is that a pediatric orthopedic surgeon?
I never worked out what he was.
No. So we went to go and see him, and he needed to examine our daughter's hips. I don't know if any of you have got experience of 16-month-old children, but they're not known for their compliance. And I ended up saying to the surgeon, I said, oh, look, I'm so sorry. I said, I think she's picked up on my anxiety for being here. Perhaps you can examine her hips on the floor. To which the surgeon said to me, he said, oh, look, Tracy, he said, don't worry. He said, I know what little girls are like. He said, my 3-year-old currently, he said, I'm going home. I put the key in the door, open the door. She looks at me, she screams and runs in the opposite direction. And he said, and I work with children for a living. So can you see here, he's showing himself, here's the surgeon, in this case I'm the patient's mother, but he's showing himself as a fellow human being, in this case a fellow parent, who also, this self-disclosure, struggles with little girls. Time went on. With our daughter, we did several interventions. Suddenly, they didn't work quite as well as they had to. So we had to make the decision for our daughter to have major hip surgery. And I said to the surgeon, I said, oh, this decision is weighing so heavily on us. We're really worried, are we going to make the right decision? I wish we didn't have to make that decision. And the surgeon said, oh, absolutely. He said, that's what we do as parents. He said, we worry, and it's what you should do. He said, you can take all the time that you like to make this decision. He said, my son had to have an umbilical hernia fixed. He said, it's the easiest operation. It's 5 minutes on the operating table. And he said, would you believe it? I lost sleep over it. I'm a surgeon and I lost sleep over it. But I'm also a dad. Now, it would have been very easy for a surgeon there when I said, I'm worried about this decision, having to make this decision. It would be very easy for the surgeon to say, oh, don't be silly, Tracy. She'll be fine. I know what I'm doing. That would be very easy, wouldn't it? And there's still that gap. Whereas here he's gone, no, I get you. I worry too. This is what I'm talking about with this intimacy. It's really, really important. It is self-disclosure. And then, of course, the final piece in David Maister's equation is the self-orientation, which needs to be low. In other words, for people to trust you, they need to feel that you have their best interests at heart. And you're just not about signing the deal because it's what will benefit you. With our surgeon, when on the Friday when we were taking our daughter out of hospital and she had this massive plaster cast on, our surgeon came up and he said, Tracy and Hugh, here's my business card. He said, it's got all my contact details on for the entire weekend, 24/7. If your daughter has a problem, you call me. Now that to me is a surgeon with low self-orientation. It's not about him having his weekend off. It's about him being concerned about his patients. Yep. As a result, I absolutely trust him.
Just a quick question to you. As Tracy was sharing that with you and sharing the story of our daughter and her hip dysplasia, but I want to ask a question of you, observing Tracy as she shared that story, which is it not an intimate story? It's a very intimate story for us. How did you feel about Tracy? How does that make you feel about Tracy, having had her do that for you? Empathetic, yes? So do you see how she, in telling you what to do, she was absolutely modelling what to do? And that it's very hard for us not to warm and feel empathetic when somebody is prepared to share something personal of themselves. And they're not big noting, they're just sharing, I'm a normal human being with the same foibles and problems and challenges. And I would suggest to you, as you get more senior in your career, it becomes absolutely more and more critical the more senior you become.